Okay, today I want to talk about this red box. This red box is very important for me. You see, because I live in Japan, I'm subject to earthquakes, tsunamis, and apparently, according to the news, and if it's on the news, it must be true, Mount Fuji's about ready to erupt. And since Mount Fuji is pretty much the largest volcano on the island and is just an hour or so from Tokyo, I need this box. What is this box? What does this box contain? It contains survival. See, it says so right here. If you live in California, you need this box. You get earthquakes, you can have volcanoes. If you don't have this box, make your amends now. Say your prayers, get last rites, because you don't have survival. Now let's see what's inside the survival box, which, in all seriousness, I got because the box is supposed to be waterproof. And all this survival, everything that's in here, cost me only about $14, $15, depending on what today's exchange rate is. So if we open it up, that clip, not as sturdy as I'd like, but not as flimsy as you might expect. Same with the carabiner. This is just a dollar store carabiner. What I don't like is this ring twisting around on this plastic loop here, so I will probably replace that with paracord or some kind of nylon cord. But opening it up, let's see what we have. Well, we've got a candle. Fire is important. You know, you're going to want to be able to, at the minimum, have some light to be able to see by. And that means there are probably some matches in here, so we'll look at those in a second. And that's just an ordinary tea candle, and it could be used to start a larger fire. There is a flashlight that is wrapped in paper. Let's see what the paper is. Is that survival gear? No, it just is in not English. Oh, here it is. Keep out of reach of children. All right. And pets. So that's not any survival guide, but for those of us in the prepping and survival community, that's tinder. So that will help you as part of your fire making materials. This is, well, pretty much the same as this, but in Japanese, and it's also tinder. Digging in deeper, I find the battery for the flashlight, which comes wrapped in, well, if you need a rubber band, you never know when you'll need one of those. That's actually one of the more useful things so far. And you have this piece of paper, which is instructions for battery installation and, well, explanations of how to dispose of the battery. So let's put this in the flashlight and see what we have here. Actually, I have to say, for a cheapo flashlight, that feels pretty solid. I mean, it's just cheap aluminum, and I doubt it's waterproof, but it might be. I will have to test that, and since it's cheap, I don't mind ruining it. Let me see if we can get this going here. I mean, that's a pretty deep threading, and it does feel tight, but let's see here. Wow, that's a tight button. That's not going to come on accidentally. And it appears to, like a mag light, it appears you can widen the beam and focus the beam. And, you know, it's adequate. It's not the brightest thing. Here's a Streamlight Micro Stream, and you can see it just buries this. But, you know, for cheap, having light is better. Is that getting darker already? Is that battery already dying? You know, having some light is better than having no light, and it will probably help you have enough light, although that battery really is dying. It will give you enough light to actually start the fire, and as I said, that's a pretty good push on that, so it's not going to turn on accidentally. Digging deeper, we've got 5 Band-Aids. So there's an actual usable survival item. We've also got, here are the matches. Here are the Lifeline waterproof safety matches, and they do appear to be waterproof. I don't have an ashtray handy, so I'm not going to test these right here at my desk, but I will perhaps cut in a video of what these actually do, and to see if they're actually waterproof, more importantly. Next, we've got a whistle. And, you know, whistles are really hit or miss, but at the very least, this does come with about, I'm going to guess about 3 feet of cheap nylon cord, which is better than having no cord. So there is a little bit of cordage. And the whistle itself is surprisingly good. I'm actually really impressed with that whistle for a cheap whistle. I've had dollar store whistles before that didn't work as well as this one did. And I would encourage you, if you live in a country with earthquakes where buildings are prone to collapse and you are prone to getting trapped inside of them, to get yourself some kind of whistle. It will last a lot longer than your voice will if you try to call for help. Last but not least, we've got a multi-tool. And it's kind of interesting because it doesn't close. Here it is next to a Squirt PS4, and you can see they're very close in size. Well, this one's much thinner, and this one doesn't close, which is interesting. But let's try it out. So if we open it up, you have a pair of pliers that are already annoying because in order to work them, you have to force them open. So it's a bit like using some Gerber tools that I've used, and it doesn't feel, I don't know. I don't know if I would really squeeze down on those or not, because those connections don't feel as solid as they could be. As for tools, we've got on this side a fairly nice double-sided file with a finger cleaning hook, because, you know, let's face it, in a survival situation, clean fingernails are almost as important as water and food. You know, it's like, what, 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, but, you know, why go 25 minutes with dirty fingernails? Let's face it. Digging deeper in here, we've got, well, something that appears to be, oh, I don't know if you can see that here. That is half of a Phillips head screwdriver, so that is useful, although nothing here is useful. And we've got this thing, which I'm guessing is some kind of micro screwdriver for your sunglasses, and apparently a bottle opener. So if you have a bottle to open, this is great. If you have a can to open, I guess not so much. And by the way, that's really hard. That doesn't close easy. On this side, we've got a, well, actually a pretty decent flathead screwdriver. That's actually bigger than the one on the PS4, but it doesn't feel more solid this way, so I wouldn't be twisting on that too hard. And then we've got some kind of pronged tool, and that's the most accurate description I can give for it. Maybe it's some kind of specialty screwdriver, maybe for some of the more strange Sanrenmu knives, don't know. And somewhere in here, oh, first, nice little lanyard ring, and the lanyard ring will close away if you want to get rid of that, which you'll see in just a second is very important, and a pretty decent hook, which actually might be the most useful thing on this multi-tool. But we haven't seen the blade yet. Here is the blade, and as you can see, the lanyard ring is in the way. So let's pull that open. That feels pretty tight. I don't think that's going to close on you unless you get really abusive with it. But let's compare it to the blade on a PS4. As you can see, it's a lot shorter. And I can feel an edge. There's definitely an edge there. There's definitely an, well, not really. Well, there's an edge on this side. It is V-ground, unlike the chisel ground PS4, but I'm not feeling any. In all fairness, let's get some paper to test it. And as you can see, it will kind of tear paper, which is, I suppose, better than, well, not much better than your fingers. And get the rubber band out of the way. The PS4 will slice pretty well pretty much right out of the box. So what we have here may be the world's worst, most useless multi-tool. And in something called survival, you would hope for something a little better. Now, in all truth, I mostly got this to try out the box. I am looking for a waterproof box of about this size, and I'll probably have to rip the survival off because, as you can see, there's nothing really useful for survival in here, except for, maybe a couple things. I also got this kind of as a lesson. If you just grab something off the shelf, you can't just say you're done. And this is especially true in Japan, where you can buy all kinds of big survival bags that I'll probably get around to showing you one day. But it doesn't take much effort to, replace this with a PS4 will fit right in there, as will the MicroStream. So, use this as a starting point, give you some ideas, hopefully much better than this. And, build your own survival kit. Don't just rely on the shelves. But that's just my opinion. It might be mere blather.